Hi, Queen. How are you? I am Vuyanzi, also known as Life Coach Vuyanzi, and welcome to Vuyanzi Coaches. Spoiler alert, this is going to be the shortest episode ever. I say that, you know, laughing, but it's really true. Sometimes with life coaching, you can get to the heart of the matter very quickly. It does not always work like that, but every once in a while you can. In fact, I don't think this is just the shortest episode ever, but this was my shortest coaching session ever. And really, to give you a thought in your mind, what it boils down to is this simple question: what do you want? Yeah, it's that simple. What do you want? When you begin to answer that question about what it is that you truly want in your life, then you can begin to carry out the steps in order to get there. It's not complicated, but a lot of the times when you begin answering the question, what do you want, you're going to notice things start to happen. You may say, I want to be this. Yet I might say to you, okay, so tell me, what are you doing in order to make that happen? And when you start looking at the steps, or just your everyday life, you may say, I'm not truly moving in that direction. Why don't I give you this example? For a long time, I wanted to be an entrepreneur as I am now. And I would work as a consultant and even sometimes working a full-time job while building some type of business, whatever it was I was doing. Now, I said I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I said I wanted to be a business owner. Yet, watch this. When people ask me, well, what do you do? I would not identify with the thing that I really was moving towards and aspiring towards. For a long time, I would just say whatever the full-time or consultant position was. I didn't even identify with the thing that I was headed towards or even that thing that I was really building. So think about that. If someone said, what do you want? And I would say, well, I want to be a business owner. The question would be, well, why do you keep identifying as an employee? Do you get that? In this case, it was my words that were very powerful, but my words were coming from here, right? Employee mind, and I spoke employee words. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what, I know what I'm being, and then you speak those words, or you do those actions, or you do that behavior to help move you towards that position. Yes, I was just talking about words, but not just talking about words, because we know that words are very powerful. So with that said, the question that you're bearing in mind, Queen, is what do you want? And let's add a second question. What are you doing to get there? And join me tonight with April. So thank you so much, April. Do I say April Joy or do I just say April?
I'll answer to either.
Oh, okay, great. I've had it April Joy, so I'm just going to stick with what I usually say. Okay.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to ask you the question that I start with everyone, basically.
Okay.
And that is, what would you like our topic to be for today's session?
I actually wrote down a couple things, and I will start with personal and professional growth and direction.
Okay, wow, she wrote down a couple of things. No, no pressure. Um, all right, personal and professional. You said growth and
And direction.
direction.
Yes.
Okay. So I hear two things there. They may be around the same thing, but I do hear two things there. So I'm going to ask you just to do this quick exercise
Okay.
with me, if you will. And this is going to be, I just want you to say whatever comes out.
Okay.
Um, so I'm going to have you repeat what you say. Repeat what, no, don't repeat what you say. Repeat what I say.
Okay.
Okay. I want both of these goals to be answered.
I want both of these goals to be answered.
However, the one that is most important is, and then just say what comes out of your mouth.
However, the most important is direction.
Okay. Direction. And direction, talk about what direction is, right? Because yes, I know what literally the meaning is, but what do you mean for it in this context as we talk about it today?
Well, I'm trying to relocate, so that's on my big list. And relocating for me will also involve a shift in careers.
Mm,
So I am looking, hopefully, to find something else that utilizes some of my gifts.
mhm,
So I
mhm.
think that's the biggest direction for me is new employment.
Ah, so even, let's see, I got an echo for there for a second, but I think we're okay now. So I heard, even after that, I heard the biggest thing is employment.
Yes.
Okay. So April, Joy, is it safe to say today we're truly talking about employment?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that being said, I'm going to go back to my original question. In the context of employment, what do we need to get done today in today's coaching session?
Maybe to kind of pinpoint a, I don't want to say a field. I do so many things. I have so many interests, but to kind of pinpoint a direction that I should possibly go in order to achieve this new employment.
Okay, awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's proceed by doing this. Let's think about what you currently do. I heard you say you're able to do many things. So you did not narrow it down to the field, and that's fine. But we need to start from someplace. So I'm just going to start with your current job. And the only reason I'm doing that is just to start someplace, but please don't feel constricted by that.
Sure.
So I want to ask, from your current situation, can you tell me some of the positives that you like about it, if there are any? Hopefully, there are some that you
There
can.
are tons. I love that it's a job that I can kind of do with my eyes closed. I've worked for the same company for over 20 years. And I'm working as a photographer, so it's definitely a job where I see lots of happy people, lots of smiles, and that's really rewarding. I've also, in the past 3 years with work, been able to do some traveling. So I've seen some places that I certainly would have never thought to go before, so that's been kind of fun. But I'm over the traveling so much.
Okay. 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 Um, over it. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And now, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing this whole thing, as you begin to open up and just talk about what it is that you're trying to get to. So we have what you enjoy about your current job. Now I want you to go back to the thing that you said when you said, I have many skills or talents. I'm sure you have many. However, what I want you to do is from the many, I want you to hone in on some that where you might be able just to take them to someplace else, right? So let's just start talking about some of these skills and talents and gifts and abilities that you have. And we don't need to relate it to anything specific, but just things that could just be transferred somewhere else.
Right. One of the big things that I enjoy is my ability to be creative.
Mm.
So I'm a think outside the box kind of person as well. So that's a big thing that I think I could take someplace else. Planning as well is a big one for me. And if I had to give a third and fourth, I'd say I enjoy logistics and being able to motivate other people to do things.
So something popping up in my mind right now. Pardon me for the simplicity of how it may sound. So have you just given me just a number of things that you're good with. You told me some things that you enjoy about your current job, yet I didn't ask for skills about the current job. I know you do photography, but it's brought you to other skills.
Right.
So let's say if we combine some of the skills, like the list of the skills that you have from your current job, and talk about some of the things that you just talked about right now. So in thinking about that, I want to ask, have you already transitioned your resume?
Not as much as I should.
Okay.
It needs a little tweaking.
Okay. So, okay. So, something is coming up for me. May I share first what's coming up for me?
Sure.
So, we can do some of this, like the more concrete things, right? We're talking about the skills and what can be transferred. However, even if right now you may not know exactly what that end result is as far as the job is concerned,
Right.
what I feel the need to say to you is you are in the transition stage, but you know you're manifesting something that is different from what you're currently doing. And if you know that the manifestation is going to be different, you truly need to set the ball rolling in terms of drawing out from the skills that you've had built over these 20 years and the skills that you just told me that you have, and really shifting it, because that's what you're doing, yes. Right? You're shifting. That resume must shift too.
Right.
I'm going to stop talking. This just came up for me, and I want to turn it back over to you, April Joy, and ask this question. As you heard me say that, what came up for you?
Well, something that has been on my mind, I'll say in the past week, in terms of redoing my resume, in terms of motivating people and doing things logistically and planning. One thing that I don't have on there that probably should be on there is being the creative director of my group, I Run This City, because that allows me to interact with people all over. I plan events virtually, which has been interesting to see the world shift to this big virtual thing. When I started I Run This City in 2012, I've been doing virtual at this point for 8 years. So shifting in that term wasn't something that was new to me. So, I'm planning events, I'm motivating people to reach their goals, and logistically, I'm doing all kinds of stuff with that as well.
So the word that just, as you talk about being the director of your organization, is that what I have to say things that come up. Maybe you do it, but making sure that you're shifting into management, right? You're shifting into whatever that job is. It's not just a job. It's not a doing job. It's not just a worker bee job, but management, because this is what you do.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So in thinking about that, when we start thinking about your next step, so one next step I heard is putting down that position.
Yes.
You didn't say to me, I'm a manager. You didn't say I'm a supervisor. You said I am a what?
Creative director. Yes.
So that's what I heard you say about
Yes.
what you do right now. In fact, you told me I run this city.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's the name of your
Yes, it is.
okay.
I love
Okay.
it.
And just putting that together, though, there's something in that, April Joy. You're the director and you run this city.
Yes.
So that is a one step. Let's talk about another step that needs to happen when we finish our call today. What would be a logical next step for you to do?
Absolutely update the resume.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly even utilizing some of the keywords that I just expressed. Yes.
Awesome. I also, do you mind if I share something I learned about keywords some time ago? I don't know if it works, but I heard it does.
Okay, tell me.
It, like they were keywords that I wanted to be picked up, but they weren't necessarily always the words that I used in my resume. But I used to embed them in the resume and hide them. So I would, you know how, okay, it's white paper and we were typing in black ink, right?
Right, right.
But I would write them in white and embed them within the resume so that
Ah,
so then they get picked up, right? Because you know, all of these things are getting automated, like, right? So you know, when you apply on LinkedIn and Indeed and all this, somebody's sticking them into a system so that keywords, they can pull out
pop out.
who have keywords, but the computer doesn't necessarily know what's invisible to us. It just is picking up keywords from the paper. That's
Right.
what I heard. But so anyway, I listen, it couldn't hurt, and I did that for a long time.
Yes.
It seemed that I was getting calls. I don't know if it was from that or not. I just wanted to say that. Okay, so let me ask. We have the skills. You have the updated resume. Is it safe to, you have what you've enjoyed? So I want to say that you know what you don't want, right?
Yes.
I heard you say, yes, the travel was great, but then you ended off by saying, but I'm over the travel.
Yes.
So, and I don't know if you'd allot for a certain percentage, like, you know, if you do, I'm just going to pull out a number here, like 70% travel now, but you're okay with 20%, or you okay with 0. So just make sure also, because this is about manifestation, right?
Yes.
Our words, our intention, and I believe that you know this, are super powerful.
Absolutely.
So consider what specifically kind of travel, if any, that you'd be okay with.
I've done that work. I have a mental number.
Oh, okay, great.
So yes, one of the first callbacks that I received actually was from an employer that was listed as confidential. So I couldn't see who was filling this position, but the position description, you know, had things that I would enjoy. When they reached out to offer an invitation to interview, I found that the location was going to be about a 90-minute commute. So that was an instant no thank you.
Right. Excellent. Intent. Now you said employer, so that brings up can we go on to even looking at what types of positions you'd like to be applying for?
Yes.
Okay.
So if I were doing a search engine and which I've kind of backed away from it. But if I were doing a search engine and using titles, I would use director, coordinator. Yeah, those would be the big ones, director and coordinator. Not even so much manager, because I think I'm more interested in managing things than people.
So good, good, very good. You're again, this is all about speaking it, making sure that it comes across that way too in when you start building that resume as well. So I hear director, coordinator. So right now, this is where I see us as being. You know the things that you have enjoyed about your current job that you you wouldn't mind seeing in the next job.
Yes.
You know things that you're good at also from your I'm sorry, is it your foundation?
Yes.
Okay, so you know even from there these different skills that you have. You know some of the things that you don't want, and you know some of the keywords. Now, maybe before I go on, I just want to acknowledge that you said I don't really do these types of searches anymore. Should we be talking about the type of search you do? Because you said I don't do a certain type of search anymore.
I would say no. One of the reasons that I stopped using the director or coordinator type word in terms of a word search is because I didn't want to feel like I was leaving jobs on the table. So there could be a perfect position for me that does not fall under one of those titles.
Mm-hmm. So are there some other keywords then that you could also be using or play around with them? Some other keywords that you could play with?
I found that it is less stressful and I have more options to choose from if I don't necessarily pick such a specific title.
Okay. Okay. So you feel fine with the search part.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me what's missing with resumes, skills, things you like, things you don't want, the type of search, the keywords, the updating the resume. What are we missing from the employment aspect of today's goal?
I honestly think the biggest setback is just timing right now. With COVID being a big thing, of course, I had an interview scheduled for a potentially perfect placement, but it was the week that everything shut down. So that particular position didn't require the need that it would have had we not gone through COVID.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. However, can I say something after however?
Absolutely.
However, now companies are adjusting
Yes.
to it. So that I get that, right? It started the world, like you used the word shifted before. I believe you used the word
Yes.
shifted. Okay. So the world shifted. However, we are learning, if you will, how to live in this shift.
Yes.
So April Joy, at this point, do you still feel it's a matter of, because timing is going to always be relative, even pre-COVID, right? The timing of the move and the
Pre and
timing of
post. Yes.
so I don't know, do you really truly feel timing is a true factor in all of this?
To a degree, yes. I definitely think, even in terms of searching, 4 weeks ago, if there were 20 new jobs posted, today there's 200 new listings. So the shift is definitely coming.
Mm-hmm,
Well, it's not even coming, it's here. The shift is definitely here. So it's just a matter of the right everything. I think for me, things are just going to fall into place. Of course, I have to do the work in terms of updating my resume and also staying positive and focused on the end result goal. So before COVID, I would say I was looking probably 4 days a week.
Mm.
And then during the big part, I didn't want to miss out on opportunities, but there was definitely not a necessity to look 4 days a week because in 4 days there may have been five more listings, and I don't need to do that every day. So I am back to the 3 to 4 days a week looking.
Okay. So as far as the employment part, do you think we've met the goal around what needs to be done at this point?
Yes.
Okay, that was good. And if you want to tackle something else, we can try and tackle something else. That was like 15 minutes.
I think we're good. Anything else? It's like I know that oftentimes my biggest obstacle and challenges is myself, in terms of even with me relocating, there's nothing that you could say except go do it. That would be anything that I don't know that I need to do. Of course, me saying it and hearing it from my own mouth, I think that has kind of turned a light bulb to say, all right, April, get off your behind and let's just do it.
What you're saying is very powerful because that's exactly what you just heard yourself say. Go on and just do it.
Yeah.
You just heard yourself just say, because actually I wouldn't have said it. I would have said, what do you think you should do? And you already know what your marching orders are.
Yes.
Do you think that you will, not do you think that you will, let me ask it this way. When you leave this place, when we log out, when we end the meeting.
Yes.
What's going to hold you to these things to make sure that you do it?
I need to put a date on the calendar to say, need to be moved by this date. Because I also feel that some of the stresses that I have comes from essentially living in two states. And just even a thought of being in one place permanently kind of starts to take some of the weight off of my shoulders.
So I'm going to challenge you right now. What's the moving date?
Let me look on my calendar. All right, let's see. August 22nd.
August 22nd.
No later than. I'm not opposed to doing it before then.
Okay. How do you feel when you just said that?
Relieved.
And so before we end, I heard you say the word relieved. And you had said it before. You said, normally when I think about living in one state, I start to feel a lot better. And I just heard you say, putting a date, no later than date, made you feel relieved.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, when you say relieved, to feel that and let it roll through your body and what that feels like, wherever that relief is, whether it's your head, your shoulders, your neck, your back. I was going to say a song that was totally inappropriate. Sorry.
All those places.
But what I'm saying is, when you heard yourself say, come on, April, go ahead and do it, I want you to remember this moment when you wrote down that date, when you said it brought you relief just to write down and put a date to the paper. Can you let that be your driving force?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So, April Joy, I have to ask, do you think we've met the goal for today's coaching?
I would say absolutely. I'll be looking forward to reporting that I have moved and I have a new job.
Woo! Awesome, awesome. So I want to say thank you so much for being a part of today's session, and thank you for being open about it, because someone's hearing you that needs to do exactly the same thing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I love it when a plan comes together. So I would love to hear some of your thoughts on it. What did it prompt for you? What do you want? What are you doing to get there? As always, if you need help getting to your future self, getting to your next self, your next and best self, then of course you know that you can always contact me at vuyanzicoaches.com. So I thank you for listening tonight. I'm hoping that you're walking away with something. Yeah, tonight may have been short, but I think it gave you some food for thought. Maybe some of you got to pull out that resume and look at it again. Whatever it is, what do you want and what are you doing to get there? Until we meet each other again, take care, Queen. Mwah.